Hello and welcome to the Resurgence Greek Project. My name is Zach Hubert, and I'm going to give you a brief introduction to this site with many follow-up videos to come. So first of all, I'd just like to say welcome. Thank you for coming to this corner of the internet. I pray that it'll be useful to you as you study the scriptures, and that the virtual community you can find here will be of help to you as you do so. So first, let's jump into what we find on this homepage. In general, you're going to always see some sort of blog entry in this middle section. Subscribing to that through RSS, which you can see if you have a modern browser, will show up in the little upper corner here, is a great way just to know what's going on with the site. That's one way that I give out announcements or feature updates or things of that nature. So I encourage you to do that. I also, of course, will muse on random topics from time to time, as the current landing page shows, thinking a lot about Ruby on Rails and how that changes the paradigms for the sharing of information between different sites like this one. But that's a topic for another day. So let's say that you want to jump right in and start reading some Greek. Well, to do so, you go to the upper left-hand corner to the Bible browser. There's a drop-down here where you can pick a number of different options, but of course you want to read the Greek, right? So let's select a favorite passage of mine. We'll do John 3:16 through 17. If you're ever curious about what formats we accept for references, you can click on this little help button right here, and that'll help you out. So you then click on View or just hit Enter, and this will render the two passages, the two verses that I selected. You can see the Greek shows up in blue, and if you put your mouse over that, a little hover text will pop up, giving you basic information about how this word is used in context. So you can see as you move your mouse that it updates it for whatever word you're over. So that's very helpful. You can also see that these are links. If you click through that, see I just clicked, it'll take you to the word detail page. And this gives you a lot of information about how this word is used and where you can go to find additional information. It also, if you're planning on doing a word study, which I'll talk about that more in a future episode, you can go down to this section that lists the books of the Bible and the frequency of this word or lemma being used. These boxes are of course clickable, so I could click on that and see every instance in John or 1 John just by clicking on the word there. One helpful hint, you can go down here, click on an English version, hit Add, and it'll render that for your search results as well. So when this comes back, you'll see the ESV on the right-hand side, the Greek on the left, and hopefully that'll be a help to you. Now, let's go back to what options are available to us as we look at a text. So I'm going to go back to John 3:16 and 17. You can see that the Greek was rendered here in the middle. Little bookmarks are written here, so if you want to come back to this later and you've created an account, which is free, of course, you can just click on that and it'll save your spot. These arrows serve for navigating your primary text. These would navigate if you had multiple texts. So let's jump into how that works. Down here at the bottom, we give you options of many different parallel texts to show. The Greek is obvious. Tischendorf would be an alternate version of the Greek. Textual criticism would give you critical information. Codex Sinaiticus, you just need to try that out sometime to see what that is. Hebrew is not presently enabled. New American Standard, King James Version, ESV, Net Bible, these are all translations of the Greek. And of course, then there's some ones that are helpful for study. So these ones I'll talk about a little more later on. And of course, one of the features of this site is enabling you to create your own translations so that you can grow in your study and knowledge of Greek. So I'll talk about that later as well. Let's say that we wanted to just compare it with the ESV, like I did with that search result. I would just select ESV and click Add. What this does is it renders in two columns, since I only have two texts, in verse-by-verse basis. So I can see John 3:16 and compare with John 3:16 here. If I want to navigate the ESV separately, I can just click on these arrows. Or if I want to navigate just the Greek, I select over here. If I want to move them all, I can pick these. Let's say that I don't want to look at the ESV anymore. I can just click on this button to hide it. And it goes back to the view that I was at before. And so I could go in and select an alternative, like the NASB. And I could click Add, and there we go, the NASB. Other things you can do, of course, is look at some of these other options. The B Greek transliteration, that's if you participate in the Biblical Greek forums on the internet. Or related verses, we do a little number smithing there to figure out other passages of Scripture that happen to talk about similar things. Or my favorite, rare words. let's just select that one. Let's say that you're going through and you're studying John, and maybe your vocabulary isn't as good as where you want it to end up. What Rare Words does is it shows you those words that are used less than 10 times in Scripture. So in this case, monogenes shows up. And you could study your right-hand column before looking at the Greek text so that you can come into it and read more naturally. So that should be an aid to you. Well, I hope this was a helpful introduction to the website and the most basic use of the site, that is browsing through text. Look forward to you joining me in future episodes.